My name is Jayden Rourke. I'm 63 years old, retired early after spending 2 decades as the quiet, loyal husband to a woman who built an empire in real estate and family politics. Everyone always assumed I was just the soft-spoken tag-along, the house husband, the support act, the man who married up and stayed out of the way. And maybe I was. I didn't come from legacy or litigation. Unlike Elias and Marla, my wife's children from her first marriage, I wasn't bred for boardrooms or battles. They wore ambition like cologne. I wore silence, but silence isn't weakness. And being underestimated has its advantages, especially when your name ends up on documents you never signed. The day I buried my wife was the same day her heirs began burying me, and that's when I knew something inside me had to wake the hell up. Verina's funeral hadn't even cooled. The floral spray still bled scent into the air. Yet there I was, in the cold waiting room of the Sutton and Blackwell Law Office, sitting across from her children as if I were some unwanted tenant being gently escorted out. Elias Stanton wore a black suit that probably cost more than my old truck. His cufflinks sparkled when he moved, the same way his smile didn't. Marla Stanton sat with one stiletto over the other, red lacquered nails tapping against her phone like a metronome of disapproval. "Let's keep this civil, Jayden," Elias said, folding his hands like a politician about to announce bad news. This was all in the works, long before Mom passed. "That's so." I kept my voice low, measured, because Verina told me everything was going to be simple, fair. Marla didn't look up. Mom got sentimental near the end. She wasn't thinking long-term. The door opened with a mechanical click. Caleb Frost entered, their lawyer, sharp jaw, slicked back hair, and a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I have the documents," he said smoothly. Signed, notarized, executed with full capacity. He placed the manila envelope on the table like it was the answer key to a test I'd never studied for. I reached for it, but he slid it toward Elias instead. That was the first insult. The second came when Elias opened the file and casually rotated it toward me. Verina's signature, neat, flowing, then mine, scrawled, off-center, tilted slightly up like I was trying too hard to be confident. I stared at it. My heart thudded once, then again. "I didn't sign this." "You did," Caleb said, pulling out a notarized affidavit. "You were present on the 12th of last month, at your Tahoe property, witnessed by a notary named Carlin Dawson." "I was in San Diego on the 12th, I said, eyes locked on the page. "You're misremembering," Marla snapped. "It's not unusual, given the stress." There was a pause, like someone watching a hand hover over a trigger. Then a voice cut in from behind me. "Clause 17C. I turned. It was Avery Lynn, Verina's old estate consultant and my only friend left in this arena. She stepped forward, slid a sticky note into my palm, whispered, "Read it. Alone." Before I could react, Caleb clapped his hands. "Everything's in order. As per the will, the Sacramento estate is split equally between Elias and Marla. The Lake Tahoe property and associated business holdings are also theirs, effective immediately. You retain the life insurance policy." I didn't respond. Not with words. I picked up the envelope again, flipped to the last page. There it was again. My name. My forged, twisted name. "You know," I said, fingers curling the page, "my father used to tell me, you can steal a man's money and walk away free, but steal his name, that's the part that burns." Caleb leaned in slightly. "You're free to consult another attorney, but we both know the window for challenge is narrow and expensive." I stood, then I smiled, but it wasn't kind. "That's not my signature," I said, and for the first time in weeks, I felt fear turn into fire. The garage smelled like gasoline and old betrayal. A busted workbench light flickered above me, casting erratic shadows on the concrete floor. I sat there alone, fingers trembling over the box Verina once told me never to open unless things went wrong. Things had gone wrong. I cracked the lock with a crowbar. Inside, a flash drive, a sealed envelope, and a folded page yellowed at the edges. My name was written on the front in Verina's cursive. I swallowed hard. "People lie. Documents don't," she used to say. Now those words echoed off the cinderblock walls like a warning. I plugged the flash drive into my old laptop, static first, then video. Verena, pale, fragile, filmed from her hospital bed. She looked directly at the camera. If they're seeing this, I'm gone. Jayden, you need to listen to me carefully. I added a final clause to the trust. It's not in the main will. It's hidden under a conditional lock. Clause 17C. It reverses everything. If you never gave verbal consent to the transfers in a recorded setting, if they forged you, this clause destroys the entire estate agreement. But if they find this before you act, they'll bury it. And maybe you. The video cut out. A soft hiss. I blinked, sat back, stared into the dark. Clause 17C wasn't some technicality. It was a legal tripwire. I opened the sealed envelope. Inside, a clean copy of the trust document, unsigned, highlighted in red under the clause title, Irrevocable Conditional Reversal. At the bottom, Verena had scribbled, "This is your shield. Don't let them cut your name out of the story we built." My breath fogged the cold air. The walls seemed to tighten. They had planned this. Premeditated. Deliberate. My hands trembled. I gripped the envelope tighter. Then, footsteps. Outside, gravel crunching. A slow, dragging step. I killed the light. Held still. Nothing. Another step. Then silence. I crept to the side window, wiped the fog. No one. But I'd heard it. Someone was watching the house. Cut to. I called Avery. She answered on the second ring. "You found it?" I did. And someone was outside. I'm not paranoid. "They're escalating," she said. "Jayden, listen. I just checked hospital access logs. Someone requested your mental health file. Yesterday." "What?" "They're trying to frame you. If you're declared unstable, the clause is void. You become legally incompetent to contest it." I didn't breathe. Not for 5 seconds. "They're going after everything," she continued. "Reputation, sanity, witnesses, you. Who's pulling the strings? Elias? Marla?" A beat. "I think it's bigger than that." I opened the second drawer of Verena's old file cabinet, found a thumb-sized recorder, loaded the trust clause into it. "Meet me in the morning," I said. "We take this to court." "Not yet. You go now. They'll have a team ready to intercept it. We need a window. I'll create one. Then I need to secure this." "I have a locker," she said. "Downtown, untraceable. You stash the original, carry a copy." The line went dead. Cut scene. I threw on my coat, drove to Avery's drop spot, an old laundromat with a back storage unit, the kind that smelled like bleach and secrets. Locked the document inside a dryer drum. Spun it 3 times. If someone was going to chase shadows, let them chase the wrong ones. Cut to back home. Midnight. Silence. Then buzz. A phone on my back porch. A burner. Plastic wrap still on it. No number. Just a message. "You have 72 hours. Clause or no clause. Once the sale finalizes, it's done. And so are you." No signature. No bluff. Just the truth. The clause was real. The signature was fake. And someone out there needed me silenced. Fast. The security badge Avery slipped me was old. Worn. Probably belonged to a fired paralegal who never bothered to return it. It buzzed once when I swiped it at Sutton and Blackwell's rear entrance. The lock clicked open. 3:14 a.m. Perfect. The building was dead quiet. Fluorescent light flickered along the hallway, humming like a warning. I moved fast, gloves on, hood up. My shoes barely made a sound on the vinyl floor. Second door on the left. Records room. Inside, file cabinets stood like coffins, each labeled in precise Helvetica. My breath fogged against the cold as I pulled open drawer 7C. There, the original will. I grabbed it. Beneath it, another envelope, red sticker on the seal. Clause 17C, do not file. I opened it. Same clause Verena had hidden in the safe. Same legal bombshell. I slid both into my coat and turned. Voices. Coming from the hallway. I ducked into the supply closet, cracked the door an inch. 2 figures entered. Elias, Caleb Frost. "I told you it was locked up." Elias snapped. "It was." Then someone accessed it. Caleb's voice was tight. Cold. "You said he wouldn't look. He's a gardener with arthritis, not a damn spy." "You don't get it," Caleb hissed. Clause 17C was never meant to exist. If he finds it, it overrides every asset transfer. Elias froze. "You said the signature would cover us." "Signatures don't matter if the clause activates." We agreed. We burn the clause, we bury the evidence, and he walks away with his pension check. My fingers tightened around the flash drive in my pocket. I hit record on my phone. The audio captured every word. Cut scene. Caleb lit a cigarette. If he makes a move, we handle it. Quietly. I'll talk to Marla. She doesn't need to know everything, Caleb muttered. Their footsteps faded. I counted to 10, then slipped out the side exit. Back alley, night fog, dumpster steam rising like ghosts. I moved. Fast. Reached the corner. My heart pounded in my ears. Then, a silent alarm blared inside. Not loud, but enough. Red light pulsed behind me. I ran. Through the alley, left, past the old Thai restaurant, right toward the electrical substation. I ducked behind a steel panel, opened the rusted lockbox, slid the USB and one copy of the will inside, shut it, spun the combo. Voices behind me. I turned. A car screeched into the alley. Headlights flared. A figure jumped out. Hoodie, male, gloves. No words. He came fast. I dodged left. He lunged. A blade flashed. Box cutter. I kicked his knee. He fell. I grabbed the metal pipe from beside the dumpster and swung. Crack. He collapsed, groaning. I ran. Didn't look back. Cut scene. I reached my truck, locked the door, peeled away from the alley like the devil was behind me, hands shaking, eyes burning. You don't survive something like that without asking yourself who knew what and when. Who sent him? Elias? Or someone else? Was this still about money? Or something more? Back home, I dumped the damaged will on my kitchen table. Half of it was torn during the fight. Didn't matter. The USB was safe. My phone buzzed. Blocked number, a text. We know you have the clause. If it goes public, you'll wish you'd stayed buried with her. I stared at the screen, grinned, because now I had them on tape. I had the clause, and I knew something they didn't. Jayden ran, but not fast enough to unhear what Caleb had just whispered. If he talks, we're all afraid. It started with a knock that never came, just the creak of floorboards outside Avery's apartment, slow and deliberate, then silence. We were surrounded. She locked the door, eyes scanning the windows. They're here. My heart didn't race. It thudded, slow, heavy, like it knew something I didn't. She handed me the decoy envelope. You sure you switched the originals? I nodded. Last night, they think they have the clause. Avery grabbed a flash drive from her safe, shoved it into her laptop. We've got 12 hours. After that, the transfers finalize. After that, clause 17C is meaningless. Cut 2. The burner phone lit up. Unknown number. One line. Stop digging or you'll end up next to her. I stared at it. There's a moment when fear stops being cold and starts boiling. Avery watched me. Jayden, if you go public, you can't take it back. Some truths are only dangerous when we stay quiet. She leaned forward. You know what I think. Verena didn't trust her own kids. She didn't trust Caleb, but she trusted you. That clause, she wrote it for you, not the lawyers. I stood, grabbed my coat. Then it's time someone saw it. Cut scene. The courthouse downtown loomed like a tomb. Cold steel, tinted windows, camera eyes everywhere. Judge Romina Keller's chambers sat behind bulletproof glass and thick blinds. A gatekeeper of the system, and Verena's former mentor. We stepped inside. Romina looked me over like I was a ghost she didn't expect to revisit. You're early, she said, closing her planner. Talk. Avery plugged in the USB, loaded the video of Verena's message, the trust file, the real will. Clause 17C glowed on the screen like it could explode. Romina leaned forward. If this is real. It is, I cut in. I never signed, never consented. They forged it. Romina didn't blink. Then you've got a case. But you've also got enemies. Cut 2. Caleb Frost arrived before noon. Not alone. With him, 2 deputies. Court-issued psych evaluator trailing behind them. A trap. You filed an emergency motion, Caleb said smoothly. But Mr. Rourke's mental state disqualifies his claims. His wife had been declining. So had he. Romina's gaze turned. Mr. Rourke, my jaw clenched. I'm fine. The evaluator stepped forward, clipboard in hand. May we speak privately, Mr. Rourke? No, Avery said. You're not touching him without a court order. Frost smirked. This is the order. Then chaos. Alarms in the building. An evacuation notice. Fire drill, but no fire. Diversion. Avery grabbed the USB, handed it off to me. Get out now. I didn't ask twice. Cut to rooftop access. Stairs pounded under my boots. Sweat dripped into my eyes. Sirens below. Drones above. Courthouse rooftop. Blazing sun. Empty concrete. No exit. Except one. The next building. Over. I backed up, heart hammering. People talk a lot about limits, what they can't do. But the truth is, most people don't know what they're capable of until the fall is already in motion. I ran. Leapt. Concrete cracked under my boots when I landed. Rolled. Cut my elbow. Didn't stop. Cut to storage building stairwell, 5th floor, janitor closet. I jammed the USB into the hidden panel inside an old AC unit, screwed it shut, marked the vent, then called Avery. Static. Then, they took the decoy. You sure? They're already celebrating. I smiled. They thought Clause 17C was destroyed. They thought I was broken. They didn't know I'd recorded Caleb and Elias. And they didn't know Marla had just texted me. One line, I want out. Meet me. No one else can know. They think they stole the clause, but all they took was bait. Marla picked the meeting spot, level 5 of the Sequoia Heights parking garage. No cameras, no patrols, only heat waves rising off sun-baked concrete and the hum of air vents coughing stale breath. I parked 3 aisles away and walked. She was already waiting. Black hoodie, oversized sunglasses, hair tied back too tight. She looked like someone trying to disappear and not doing a great job of it. She didn't wave, didn't smile, just said, "You have no idea how deep this goes." I crossed my arms. Then start talking. Marla scanned the horizon like someone might be listening. This was never about the estate. Not really. It was about Tahoe, the land. I frowned. What about it? It sits on protected soil. Conservation zone. Can't be developed, can't be sold, unless the property changes hands under private transfer before designation. I felt something cold crawl up my spine. Elias made a deal. Off books. He promised that land to Greystone. Developers, Caleb's their attorney. They'd build luxury condos, but they needed it clean. Legally transferred before July 1st. That's why you had to be out of the picture. I stepped closer. And you went along with it. I didn't know at first. Her voice cracked. But when I found out, I was in too deep. And now, Elias is spiraling. He's paranoid. He's tracking your movements. He thinks you have backups. I think he's planning something worse. Worse? She pulled out a folded printout. Medical records. Mine. Marked request for emergency evaluation. Signed by Caleb Frost. They're trying to declare you mentally unfit. If the court signs this, Clause 17C dies. Permanently. Cut 2. Avery sat in a dim cafe. Laptop open, earbuds in. Surveillance audio streamed across her screen. She looked up as I slid into the booth. "They're moving faster," she said. "Greystone's already scheduled a pre-construction meeting for the Tahoe site. They think it's over. Unless we burn them down first." Avery handed me a flash drive. This is the one. The full clause. The video. The audio of Elias and Caleb. It's court-ready. I looked at her. "You said the courtroom's too dangerous." "So we don't go to the courtroom," she said. "We go to the media. Live." She pointed to the corner of the cafe. A woman sat alone, camera bag at her feet, press badge on her jacket. "Olivia Brookings, she runs Westwatch. Independent, unfiltered, untouchable. She'll stream it. Now." I hesitated, then nodded. Cut scene. We met Olivia in the basement of the station. Brick walls, cheap lights, wires like veins across the floor. "This goes live in 3 minutes," she said. "You sure you're ready?" I glanced at Avery, then at Marla, standing off to the side, shaking. I stepped in front of the camera, breathed once, then twice, and spoke. "My name is Jayden Rourke. I was married to Verena Stanton for 21 years. I cared for her until the day she died, and now her children are trying to erase everything we built. They forged my signature. They stole protected land. They violated a legal clause their mother put in place to stop them." I held up the flash drive. "And this is the proof." Suddenly, boom. The building trembled, lights flickered, smoke billowed through the vents. Emergency sirens shrieked. Avery grabbed the laptop. Someone triggered the fire suppression system remotely. They're trying to fry the servers. Olivia shoved open the door. Back way, go! Cutscene. We sprinted down the alley. Sirens screamed around us. Smoke followed like a ghost. I held the flash drive tight. Marla coughed beside me. We need a judge, I yelled. One who's clean. Avery nodded. Keller, she's still in the building. 15 minutes later, we burst into Judge Romina Keller's private chambers. She stood, eyes wide. What the hell is going on? I slammed the drive down on her desk. The clause is active. The land transfer's illegal. Caleb Frost is at the center of it. Elias is next. She plugged it in, listened, watched. Her hands trembled slightly as she removed her glasses. If even half of this is real, it's all real, I said, and it's time it burns. Tell Elias. If he wants to bury me, he better bring a bigger shovel. They tried to stop the hearing. Caleb filed a motion to suppress the clause. Too late. Greystone's legal team ghosted the courthouse before sunrise. Elias didn't show. Rumors said he boarded a charter flight at 4 a.m. bound for Argentina. Didn't matter, because at 9:12 a.m., Judge Keller slammed her gavel and ruled 3 words that changed everything. Clause is valid. The courtroom didn't erupt. It imploded. Camera shutters clicked like gunfire. Avery squeezed my arm. Marla, sitting 2 rows behind me, exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for a year. Keeler stood, cleared her throat. The court finds that the estate was fraudulently manipulated through illegal forgery, coercion, and breach of fiduciary trust. Clause 17C, signed and recorded by the deceased in accordance with the California Revised Uniform Trust Code, reverts the trust assets into public fiduciary protection, effective immediately. I didn't smile. Not then, because I was still waiting for the final shot to land. And it did. Halfway through the statement, 2 plainclothes agents entered the room, whispered something to the bailiff. He nodded, walked to Caleb Frost. Mr. Frost, please stand. What is this? You're under federal investigation for conspiracy to defraud and falsify estate documents. You have the right to remain silent. Caleb's eyes widened. He looked at me. I looked through him. Cut 2. In the hallway outside the courtroom, press swarmed like hornets. Lights, booms, microphones shoved in my face. Jayden, what happens to the estate now? Are you keeping the money? Is Marla facing charges? I raised one hand. Waited. Silence rippled. Then I said, I'm not keeping the money. None of it. Verena didn't build that empire to be carved up by greed. She built it to mean something. So we're turning it into something that can't be bought or stolen. A trust for environmental protection and elder care. Pause. And yeah, that includes the land in Tahoe. The flashbulbs went wild. Cut scene. 3 days later, I stood on the cliffs of Lake Tahoe. Wind pushed hard off the water. The old villa behind me, boarded up, locked. Protected now under new legal designation. Marla stepped beside me. No makeup, no heels, just tired eyes and silence. I always thought I hated you, she said. I know. You weren't like my dad. You weren't hard. You weren't controlling. I wasn't competition. She laughed, then cried. Both sounded the same. People always say blood is thicker than water, I said. But they forget that trust is what holds both in place. Once that breaks, nothing holds. She nodded. So, what now? I looked out at the lake. Now, we rebuild something no one can steal. Cut 2. I walked back to my truck. News played from the dashboard radio. Caleb Frost, now facing additional charges after documents, were uncovered suggesting a pattern of similar estate manipulations across 3 states. I turned it off. Some silence was earned, some revenge too. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about drawing the line. Because when people strip away your name, your rights, your place in the family, they're not just stealing your legacy. They're trying to erase your existence. And sometimes survival isn't just staying alive. It's being the one who speaks when they try to silence you. They got everything they wanted, and now they'll live with what it cost.